Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep into a stack of sources centered around Alice Sebold's, well, powerful novel, The Lovely Bones.
Mm-hmm.
You've given us excerpts that they really plunge us into a devastating event, offer this utterly unique perspective of its victim from beyond.
Right. And trace the ripple effects, the profound, often unexpected ones, on a family, a community, just grappling with unimaginable loss.
Absolutely. And our mission here in this deep dive, it isn't just about recounting the plot, is it?
No, not at all. We want to extract the key insights these sources offer. We need to understand how knowledge is, well, gained and lost when something like this
And
happens.
explore grief, right? The complexity of it.
Exactly. And see the surprising ways lives connect, even, across that veil between life and whatever comes next. The source material gives us a very, very particular way to look at all this.
It really does. And we're starting right at the heart of it, aren't we? With the horrific event itself, seen explicitly through Susie's own eyes, her perspective.
Yeah. The source is open by putting us right there. A seemingly ordinary setting, a cornfield. It's cold. Her ears ache.
She wouldn't wear the cap her mother made.
Right. Typical kid stuff, stomping on the hard earth, just normal moments before the horror.
This mundane start is so important, though.
It really is. There's this initial shift, from just innocent curiosity. She even thinks neato when she spots the hole he dug.
Like a kid finding a fort or something.
Exactly. And a kind of reverted childhood fascination. The sources link it to her brother Buckley being amazed by dinosaur bones at the museum.
Or even that really dark analogy about the Hunchback of Notre Dame. It starts with this, childish wonder about things hidden or strange.
But that feeling, that wonder, it just dissolves
It-
instantly into pure dread.
As soon as she sees the hole properly, it's described, isn't it, size of a mudroom.
Yeah, with a bench dug out.
Yeah.
And she sees Mr. Harvey stooping inside.
And the contrast is just,
Yeah.
bam, familiar cornfield, horrifying reality right there.
And her attempt to leave, to just turn and run, it's met with these chilling, absolute commands from the source.
Take off your clothes.
Check that you're still a virgin. And then that line, just terrifying. You aren't leaving, Susie. You're mine now.
The power just shifts completely, violently.
It's brutal. And the sources, they don't look away from the visceral details. It notes her pleas.
No, Mr. Harvey, please.
Describing them as, heartbreakingly common right before death. The physical feeling, too.
That weird description, like her body turning in and out like a cat's cradle game.
Yeah, and the complete loss of control. It's graphically described.
And layered over all this horror is the sound of her ordinary life just yards away.
Her mother calling for dinner, listing these incredibly normal everyday things.
String beans and lamb, finger painting, apple crumb cake.
While the violation itself is described with that stark, violent image from the source. Mortar, pestle.
That juxtaposition is
Yeah.
just crushing.
He makes her lie still then. Listen to their heartbeats, hers like a rabbit, his thudding like a hammer.
And the source points out this moment, she gains powerful knowledge.
Yeah, but the awful irony is she doesn't realize death is coming. She thinks she's survived it.
She thinks she's lived through the worst part.
Exactly. And then his voice changes, becomes gentle, almost encouraging, asking her to get up.
But she can't move. She's paralyzed by what happened.
Right. And when she doesn't, or maybe can't, he gets the knife. The source uses this really chilling personification.
Seeing it smiled at me when unsheathed. Ugh.
And then that final awful request before the end, tell me you love me.
She does it. She complies.
And the end comes anyway. What this opening section really forces you to confront is just the raw, unexpected horror of violence. How innocence is just shattered by pure evil.
And from that horrifying reality, the sources then pivot completely to Susie's new existence.
Right. Her heaven. And it's not, clouds and harps. It's deeply personal, tied to her life.
Like a suburban high school 1960s style.
Yeah, buildings with turquoise and orange blocks like her actual Fairfax High, sports fields, soccer goals, those old bucket seat swings.
It's fascinating because she realizes pretty quickly that others have their own heavens too, but somehow they all fit together.
Yeah, it's not solitary. She meets her roommate, Holly, who's reading the script Susie doesn't recognize.
Teaches her Vietnamese. Mentions real-world places like Herman Jade, the Hop Fat Kitchen.
And there's this constant, deep longing for what she missed out on. She wants to know things she didn't get to know on Earth, wants to grow up.
She tells Franny, her guide, people grow up by living. I want to live.
But Franny's response, according to the sources, it's absolute. It defines the limits of this place. That's out, she says. You won't experience it.
So the insight there is maybe that this heaven is for watching, reflecting,
Yeah.
not continuing life in the same way.
Seems like it. But even with those limits, their heavens do start to kind of expand. Roads appear leading out.
Franny tells them, walk the paths and you'll find what you need. So there's still a sense of journey or discovery possible.
And their shared heaven has these specific, almost like idealized comforts, pulled from earthly life.
An ice cream shop that always has peppermint stick.
A newspaper with their pictures, not world news.
Hmm.
Even like perfect-looking men and women from magazines.
But the sources also hint that Holly has parts of her heaven she keeps private, suggesting her own unresolved grief or history.
Right. And Susie, in this new space, she starts to grasp the meaning of forever, which sounds both comforting and, well, terrifying.
They even play games, like how to commit the perfect murder.
Choosing the icicle because it melts, which is, wow, a chilling echo of her own reality, isn't it? Filtered through this detached place.
And she connects with other girls killed by Harvey, like Flora Hernandez, 13, found through a map Franny has.
Over time, her connection to Earth, it sort of evolves. She watches less from the gazebo, sees Earth more from the fields in her heaven.
But the sources show her grief, her longing, can actually disrupt this heaven if she wonders too much about Earth.
Yeah, her heaven changes. She sees horse corn, hears this humming or moaning sound as a warning. Her head throbs.
The sky darkens. It feels like a perpetual yesterday. Her soul gets heavy.
It's a place that's both peace and potentially torment, still tied so strongly to what she lost.
She mentions coming to the lip of my grave multiple times, but never looking in. She can't or won't face that final physical reality.
And she questions it all. Wishes for her grandparents' heaven, her father's father, dancing, just joy. No memory of the cornfield, no grave.
Franny tells her how she could potentially switch heavens, but the cost is huge.
Total detachment. You have to stop desiring certain answers. You have to give up on Earth.
Which, the sources show, feels impossible for Susie at first. That connection, the longing, it's just too strong.
So she finds this weird kind of active rest on trains, listening to Earth sounds, voices of other watchers.
And she craves these really specific mundane sounds, like laundry, the snap, yank, wet heaviness.
It's such a powerful detail in the sources, showing how rooted she still is in the world she lost.
Meanwhile, back on Earth, the immediate aftermath, devastating, fragmented.
Yeah, the sources describe the parents looking at each other in that dim light, the mother crying.
The father holding her, kissing her eyes, calling them ocean eyes. Such a raw moment of shared pain.
And Susie, watching from her heaven, she looks away then, towards the cornfield, hoping the police find something. Anything.
She lists details, right? Hail bending the stalks, animals, rabbits, hoping for a different result.
But the police deliver that awful news to the father. All evidence points to your daughter's death, even without a body.
Agonizing. The sources note the officer looks away, maybe can't meet his eye, but Len Fetterman does, promises to check in.
Just a tiny moment of human connection amid the horror.
The father's grief is just immense, internal. He goes to the study, cries into the dog's fur, Holiday's fur.
And what's striking is how grief immediately isolates them, isn't it? Even within the family.
Totally. Lindsay, the sister, shows this incredible, almost unnerving strength right away.
The sources say she's armed for sympathy, able to confront the principal, asking, what exactly is my loss? Reacting to, like, the intrusion of pity, the sofa.
Her coping is so internal, fascinatingly so.
Those slow walks become her time to process, focusing on tiny external details.
Secretary's misapplied lipstick or two-piece paisley crepe de chine. Anything but the overwhelming pain inside.
And at home, it becomes physical. The sources detail it. Sit-ups, push-ups, using a dictionary for bicep curls.
Just focusing on breathing. Susie watches this rage from heaven, sees it as her sister's way of dealing with it all.
The father starts his own kind of obsessive processing, jotting notes, spiral notebook, potential suspects.
The drinker get him drunk, maybe he's a talker. And that chilling line, I think Susie watches.
Which leads to his suspicions about Mr. Harvey.
He calls Len Feinerman, tells him about the tent Harvey built, Harvey acting weird, the dog howling story.
Which the sources say became this dark joke at the station, Mr. Fish and his Huckleberry Hound. Awful.
Len checks it out, but there's nothing concrete. Little or nothing to work with, he says, and warns the father off Harvey.
That's key, isn't it? The early lack of proof, despite the father's gut feeling.
Yeah. And the sources describe this moment. The father calls his wife's name Abigail twice. Like he's calling into a void after that call with Len.
And he tries to talk to Buckley, the little brother, about Susie, hating the deceit. How could he tell him his sister might be in pieces?
But Buckley's distracted by a book, Zoo. Already starting down that rippling path to forgetting. Just a different way of coping.
Life changes drastically for them all. The sources show them, not leaving the house after dark anymore.
Christmas lights stay off. Except that one candle the father keeps in the den window. A little beacon for Susie.
And Buckley keeps asking, "Where's Susie?" every day.
The father tells him she's with the Monopoly shoe piece. That childlike answer makes Susie cry in heaven. You feel that separation.
Buckley gets she's away, but still thinks she's coming back. Can't grasp the finality.
The father tries to replace her presence, doesn't he? Building that stand for his ships and bottles. A hobby they shared.
Yeah, but he retreats when Lindsay and Buckley aren't interested. Shows his isolation again. He talks to Susie while cleaning them.
Susie, my baby, my little sailor girl, lines them up, remembers moments. Her purple room, National Geographics, being the only child for a bit.
It's so poignant in the sources, how he keeps her memory alive through these shared things.
The mother's coping is so different, though. She withdraws.
Yeah, the sources show her staring into the sink, avoiding the family, hiding in the dining room with a book, hiding from the father later after his heart attack.
Grief as absence, but it's not totally one note, is it?
No, the sources show fleeting moments of connection, even joy, laughing with Grandma Lynn, inviting Ruan to sing in for cigarettes. Grief is complex.
But her despair leads her somewhere darker, too. The affair with Len Feinerman.
Right, described in the sources as happening on the roof. And it's portrayed not as romance, but out of rage, loss, needing Len to, quote, drive the dead daughter out.
The physical details underscore that rawness. The kiss, unbuttoning the coat, his hand on her gown.
It's desperate, and eventually she leaves, heads to California.
Susie sees it as moving physically through time to flee from me.
Yeah, and the sources show her feeling relief driving through other families, seeing the ocean waves, thinking of the awakening, seeking escape, maybe her own identity.
She works at a winery, Crusoe Winery. Takes on a different persona almost.
Man's wallet, darker skin, blue eyes stand out, salt and pepper ponytail, trying to become someone else.
The father tries to lose himself too,
Hmm.
reading Civil War letters.
And that small note in his journal. Arana Singh bakes a mean apple pie. Just a detail of routine connection in his quiet world.
Then Grandma Lynn arrives to stay, prompting that practical question, where will we put her?
She brings a different energy, doesn't she? Teaches Lindsay makeup, helps the mother laugh and cry.
But creates tension too, like doing dishes with the mother.
And the sources describe her walking with the mother past Harvey's house, sensing something wrong, offering the cabin keys, another attempt at escape, maybe.
She also shares that story with Susie in heaven, her own first kiss from an older man. Shocking, but wonderful. That resonates later.
The father keeps holding memorials in the cornfield, but fewer people come each year.
Susie's name becomes this dark rumor for high school kids. A warning, making her feel like a pinprick, a transmutable commodity. The murdered.
But the sources contrast that with teachers like Mr. Bott, who remember her as a real person, individual memory fighting that abstraction.
The mother calls sometimes from California, a distant connection. We still miss you. Concedes teaching was her plan.
Yeah.
Hinting at a derailed life.
Okay, so then we have the investigation and these threads of connection that unfold in really unexpected ways, sometimes, well, supernatural ways, according to the sources.
Like Ruth Connors, the classmate, her powerful dream of Susie.
Yeah, pale running ghost, thin white veil, hollow eyes. Her mother just dismisses it.
But Ruth starts walking to the cornfield, drawn there, talking to herself.
And one day she picks up gloves Lindsay left for Susie. And she believes Susie is talking to her, saying, thank you.
That's the core of their connection in the source, isn't it? Feeling born to keep each other company, one on earth, one in heaven.
And it fuels Ruth's poetry. Those titles. Being Susie, After Death, In Pieces. Beside Her Now, The Lip of the Grave.
She imagines Susie telling her she's a good poet. And there's that line about a childhood longing sparking this later connection, this need to touch, be held, which she links to Susie.
Ruth's connection gets wider, darker too. Walking Manhattan, finding places where other women were killed, unaware she's a celebrity in heaven, apparently, with fans among other victims.
She has that vision at the sinkhole, Women stuffed in the car in blood-colored gowns, walks towards them, blacks out.
And her journal, listed in the sources, becomes this chilling map of violence. Penn Station, bathroom stall, domestic, AVC, roof on Mott Street, little girl in CP. She's drawn to these echoes.
Then there's Ray Singh, another classmate. He has an alibi cleared of suspicion.
Right, a lecture. But he's still isolated, grieving. He looks at Susie's photo, realizes it's not her, wants to set me free from suspicion.
And places her photo in that book of Indian poetry with flowers. A quiet memorial.
He connects with Ruth, though. Walking together, English class, seeing her controversial drawing.
And then that really striking moment from the sources. He kisses Susie through Ruth.
Yeah, the source says, it's my desire, not Ruth's. It was me pushing out at the edges of her skin.
Wow. Ray asks, where do you want to go? And Susie, through Ruth, knows. To take back a piece of heaven I had never known.
That kiss, that brief connection across realms, it's huge for Susie. She wonders if he'll stay after school, then remembers no one does.
Then realizes she was blind to choices she might have had on Earth if she'd lived.
Ray later reads Ruth's journal, listing those murder sites, gets pulled deeper into it all, and the sources give us that background, his earlier crush on Susie.
Seeing her awkward skirt, coat with Holiday's fur, mousy hair in the sun, looking at him nicely after his Jane Eyre paper mistake. Small moments that now seem huge.
While Ray and Ruth connect in these ways, Lindsay takes direct action. Breaks into Harvey's house, November '74.
Yeah, she fakes cramps to get the chance, rolls between the pines, timing it. Risky.
Jumps into the basement, onto broken glass. Finds it tidy, though. Chair, table, cloth.
Susie watches. Wishes she could guide her to the animal bones Harvey kept, but knows Lindsay would think they were hers. Terrifying thought.
Lindsay feels trapped, like a fly trapped in a spider's funnel web. Senses her father's feeling about the place.
Goes upstairs. Her parents' room has nothing like the horror she senses. But then she finds my killer's room, least barren, which is chilling in itself.
Finds nothing obvious at first, no knife, gun, pen, but hears something, sees something on the bed.
And the sources just leave it there. Don't say what it was. The implication is enough.
Later, Lindsay makes another key discovery. Her mother's red scarf. On Len Fennerman's desk at the station.
Confirms the connection. Len's awkward excuse, she might have left it in my car, just gives it away.
But the big breakthrough in the actual investigation comes later. Spring '76, for Len Fennerman.
He finds Susie's charm bracelet, mud-encrusted, at a gravesite outside Hartford.
That's the link. Connects Harvey to other murders. Delaware, Connecticut. That small object unlocks the whole pattern.
He visits the father in the hospital then after his heart attack. Has things in his bag. Some evidence, some things not for parents.
Meets the mother there too. Feels the force of her presence. Tells the father that case is reopening.
And the sources mention him listing the living young girls, elderly women, single mothers, the wounded, as what kept him going, who he was fighting for.
And the sources, importantly, give us glimpses into Harvey's world too, his perspective.
After the murder, he feels calm, washes himself, feels calm flood him, water washing Susie away.
Feels prickling pleasure, remembers details, muffled scream, delicious death moan, glorious white flesh. The knife split. It's pure psychopathy.
Disposes of things in a waxy sack. Plans to get sonnets he wrote, and the knife later.
Gets up daily, poison seeping in, but movement saves him from guilt. That twisted hand of God thought, you are not there when your daughter needed you. Using it somehow.
His life is this weird mix of mundane routine and dark ritual.
Building dollhouses, radios, sketching blueprints for follies, the hole, the tent, setting clocks, lights, appearing normal, friendly but businesslike with kids.
And the sources suggest he killed animals first, taking lesser lives to keep from killing a child. A horrific progression.
Leaves town December '75, leaves that scratchy scutch and store Windings. Strange trace.
And the sources touch on his past trauma. Dream of his mother, running in white.
His father forcing her out of the car in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. Harvey just watching, still as stone. Mother giving him an amber necklace before vanishing.
That unexplained abandonment, presented as maybe a root cause of his damage.
He uses a fake story about being a widower. Calls some woman, Sophie Cicchetti, his dead wife. Pictures women dead in his basement.
Watches people in parks, mothers, kids, teenagers, lonely men, showing this wild and bottomless lust from behind his windshield. A predator.
He comes back to the area eventually, sees the sinkhole, remembers dumping a body there, passes Ruth there, unaware.
And then he finds Susie's charm bracelet at the old industrial park. Heard they were bulldozing, scared of more sinkholes, went back for it.
And that recovered bracelet is what finally leads Lynn Fennerman to him, connects him concretely to Susie and the others.
Okay, so over time, the family and everyone connected, they moved towards, well, a new normal. Letting go, slowly, painfully, as the sources show.
The mother comes back. For the father's heart attack, October 77. Arrives at the hospital, salt and pepper hair now.
Feels time, gravitationally circumscribed, pulled back by her parents, the heart attack.
Finds the father's smell calming. Remembers the house. Forgotten things return, early love, dreams, burgeoning family, me.
Susie and her father, from heaven in the hospital bed, share this silent wish he could hold her. Communicate without words.
He has to force himself back to the living. Lindsay, 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 Buckley, Buckley, Buckley.
Lindsay and Samuel's relationship. It cemented right after Susie's death, didn't it? 2 weeks later.
Yeah, grew strong, go to temple together. He hated it, she loved it. Small detail, but shows their dynamic.
Graduation night. Running home in underwear and t-shirts in the rain. Simple joy. Shelter.
Father says he's happy they're safe. And Samuel makes that comment about Lindsay living life in direct proportion to what effect it would have on a fragile father.
Wow. Shows how Susie's death still shapes everything, everyone's choices.
Lindsay and Samuel explore that old Victorian house. Gothic revival. Find a fire pit, Samuel calls it a tragedy. Sensing something, maybe.
He wants the house. Calls himself a fixer of broken things. They feel safe there, hidden away. He describes the Oriole windows.
And the sources show Susie leaving them then. As they unzip their leathers, lightning stops, thunder stops. Her presence receding from their moment of intimacy. Life moving on.
Buckley takes over his mother's garden. Goes extraordinarily, insanely crazy with it.
Mixing flowers, tomatoes, herbs, using his old fort as a work shed. Susie watches, thinks he's doing it for her mother who stayed.
And marvels when it blooms all at once one year. Maybe Susie's touch from heaven.
A little act of beauty.
Lindsay and Samuel announce their marriage at home. Grandma Lynn helps with champagne.
Susie watches their lives being borne aloft away from her death as Samuel kisses Lindsay in front of everyone. Such a complex moment in the sources, loss and joy intertwined.
Ruana Singh visits. Connects with the mother over cigarettes. The father has a special place for Ray, the boy who had loved his daughter.
He reflects on their shared grief. The ships and bottles holding an echo of Susie.
Susie's view of heaven keeps evolving too. Realizes it's not just safety or reality. It can be about fun too. Possibility.
Doing things to, like, stump humans or make them grateful, like Buckley's garden blooming, marveling at life's twists.
10 years after Susie died, Lindsay and Samuel have a daughter, Abigail Suzanne. Little Susie. Susie calls her in heaven. Samuel puts her on a blanket. And Lindsay, in that moment, leaves Susie in her memories where I was meant to be.
That's huge. A real act of letting go. Acknowledging Susie's place as memory now so her daughter can live fully.
Susie counts the living from heaven. Notes Lynn Fennerman does too. Feels sustained by living, breathing women. A shift in focus.
Grandma Lynn makes that confession to Susie in heaven about her own first kiss. Grown man, friend's father. Shocking but wonderful. Always searching for that feeling again.
Connects maybe to her offering the cabin keys earlier. A different kind of escape. Susie also learns her parents knew Ray wanted to kiss her. Small earthly detail.
She falls asleep beside her empty grave, that physical reminder. But her list of the living counteracts the dead now. Focus shifting.
She has that final moment of connection on Earth, though. The kiss with Ray through Ruth. Feeling her own desire.
The one moment she really re-experiences that physical, loving connection.
Ruth finds comfort beside Lindsay. Two people so deeply affected by Susie. And Lindsay admits it. She missed Susie more than anyone will ever know. Quiet acknowledgement.
And one last detail from the sources. Susie realizes the dog, Holiday, whined for her father at the sinkhole early on, not Lindsay, recognizing her father's deep intuition, his bond with the dog. Another place her heaven view was incomplete initially.
So we've traced this shattering impact of one event through so many lives. Seen from Earth and from that extraordinary perspective beyond.
We've watched a family fracture find new, often really painful ways just to be. Seen grief turn into physical strength, obsessive searching, quiet withdrawal, or these unexpected connections.
We've witnessed how loss doesn't just end a life, does it? It twists and reshapes all the lives left behind, inspiring art, forging bonds.
Forcing people to confront the darkness, but also the persistence of love, hope. And we've learned through these sources that even with ultimate accents, connection, memory, a kind of presence lingers, profoundly.
This deep dive really reminds us that life, and maybe what comes after, It's this incredibly complex tapestry, isn't it? Pain, love, growth, and those quiet moments may be overlooked that hold it all together.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting for me. What does it actually mean that a life cut so tragically short could ripple outwards like that? Have such profound, unexpected echoes in other people's lives across time, even across
Yeah,
realms?
and related to that, how do we navigate our own grief, our longing for those we've lost, while also somehow allowing their memory to rest peacefully in the past and allowing the living, ourselves included, to find our own ways forward? That's definitely something to keep mulling over.